Hey guys, it's Miss Leibowitz. So today's story, we're actually going to be reading about astronauts and all the things that they have to do to become an astronaut and stuff like that. So while we're reading through this story, I want you to be thinking about the main idea. Remember, the main idea is the big idea. It's the top of the table. The anchor chart that I had where it was the table and then the legs, it's the top of the table. The main idea is what the whole story is about. Now, when you think about the main idea, sometimes you guys like to just tell me the topic. Remember that the topic is who or what the story is about. So just by looking at this title page for this story, it says Astronaut Handbook. So the topic of my story would be astronauts, but that's not the main idea. The main idea has to be said throughout the whole story. So I want you to remember the main idea is the who plus the what, and that equals the main idea. So the who is astronauts. Now we're going to have to read to figure out the what. We don't know what until we read through and we decide. And remember, when we are reading through and deciding what the main idea is, we have to think about those words that keep getting repeated and those topics or those ideas that keep getting repeated. So when we were reading dive teams the other day, they kept talking about how they worked as a team, but they also kept talking about how they all had special jobs. Every paragraph, they were talking about this job and that job and what this person does and what this person does. They might not have said the actual word job, but they were talking about all the different things that each person did. So those were called pop out. Pop out. Those were pop out words or phrases or ideas. When we are reading through the stories to figure out what the main idea is, there are going to be pop out words and ideas, meaning that these things are going to pop out and they're going to keep popping out in this paragraph, on this page, on this paragraph, on this page. They're going to keep popping out. And that's how you're going to figure out the main idea. The who, the astronauts, the topic, and the what. The what is going to be all those pop out phrases, all those pop out ideas. What about the astronauts? This and this and this and this and this. Which one keeps popping out and catching your attention? Because an author is going to keep saying it and keep saying it and keep saying it because that is the main idea of the story. Remember, key details are the things that support the legs on the table, that support the main idea. So if my main idea yesterday for dive teams, if my main idea at the top of the table was that a dive team works together and everyone has a special job, then my legs, this leg would tell me how they work together. This leg would tell me what the jobs were. This leg would tell me what the other jobs are. This leg would tell me another fact from the story about how they work together as a team. Key details are facts from the story that hold up your main idea, that say, yeah, this is the main idea because yes, this is another way I knew the main idea. Here's another way. So remember, the main idea is the who, the topic, plus the what. What about them? What are they doing? What's happening? And that gives us the main idea. To find the what, you're going to think about all of the things that pop out and continue to be repeated, repeated pop out items or ideas. So let's get started. We can already tell what the topic is because it says, point this way, it says Astronaut Handbook. All right, let's get started. Astronaut Handbook by Megan McCarthy. Welcome to astronaut school. See you soon. You will be boarding a space shuttle and blasting into outer space. All kinds of people have become astronauts. There have been teachers, painters, and even deep sea divers. You can be an astronaut too. All right, so this paragraph, we don't really know too much. We're going to have to keep going to see what things pop out. First, you need to decide what kind of astronaut you will be. There are astronauts who fly the space shuttles, astronauts who conduct scientific experiments, such as growing plants, and astronauts who repair satellites. So, already the things that are popping out at me are the different kinds of astronauts that there are and the different kinds of people that have become astronauts. But it's also talking about what astronauts do. So, we're going to have to keep going. I don't have enough information. Becoming an astronaut takes a lot of preparation. It's important to study hard in school. Studying isn't always easy, but stick with it. You will have to pass some tough fitness tests to become an astronaut. So suit up and start swimming. One test is to swim in your flight suit and sneakers. Ooh. So this page is telling me all the different things that you have to do to become an astronaut. You have to study and you have to do different kinds of tests. So we have different kinds of astronauts and different kinds of tests. Let's see what else keeps going. It's also important to be a team player. While in space, you'll be eating, sleeping, and working in very tight quarters with many other people. So be nice to your neighbor and no fighting. Now that you work well with others, it's time for survival training. This training will help toughen you up and prepare you to live in harsh conditions. Okay, so now this page is telling me that I have to work as a team and then I have to prepare to be able to live in harsh conditions. So the last pages were telling me that I have to take different tests and be good in school. This one's telling me I have to be a good team member. This one's telling me that I need to be able to prepare in harsh conditions. It seems like each page is telling me a different thing that I have to do to be able to become an astronaut. Maybe that's the main idea. Let's keep going. After you're both mentally and physically prepared, it's time for the real work to begin. Practice makes perfect. Those of you who have decided to become engineers will practice working with machines, much like the ones you'll use in space. Those of you that want to be a pilot of the space shuttle will need to learn to fly. Okay, now it's telling me that I have to pick a job, and then with that job, I have to learn other things, how to fix a machine or how to fly a plane. So those are, again, steps that I would need to take to be able to become an astronaut. Those are the things that keep popping out. This is one way I have to become an astronaut. Here's another thing I have to do to become an astronaut. Here's another page that tells me what I have to do to become an astronaut. So this main idea is starting to come together a little bit for me. Each page is sort of telling me what I need to do, the steps I need to take to become an astronaut. Let's see if that continues, because if it doesn't, then it might not be the main idea. You've done the hard stuff and now it's time to have some fun. A special plane nicknamed the Vomit Comet will take you high in the sky and then zoom back down. As a result, you'll be able to float. It might upset your stomach, but you'll get the hang of it. You'll also need to pick the food you'd like to eat while in space. It's important to have a balanced diet to stay strong during your trip. You can even have dessert, such as freeze-dried ice cream. Okay, so these are talking about all the fun things that I get to do in space, but it's still the way that I have to prepare to be able to become an astronaut, right? I have to go on the Vomit Comet so that my stomach can get used to being in no gravity, and I have to learn how to balance my diet. But it even says that you can have some dessert. That looks like shrimp. This is what a space toilet looks like. Ooh, what are these text features? What is it called when there is a picture or an illustration and things are pointing to it to say, this is this, this is this, this is this? Starts with a D. A diagram. So this is a diagram of the space toilet. Dry wipes, thigh constraint, hose for liquids, foothold, another foothold, vacuums for solid, the other thigh restraint, instructions, and a light. And here's what your spacesuit would look like. So again, another diagram with labels, labeling the different parts of the diagram. TV camera, headlamp, helmet and visor, display and control module, portable life support system backpack or PLSS, contains oxygen, battery, and water supply, flexible metal bearings allowing arms to rotate, hard upper torso or hut made from fiberglass and steel, a glove, a lower torso assembly or LTA made from soft insulation, rubber, and a boot. And then here we have two sentences that are telling us about the illustration. And these are called what? Sentences that tell about the illustration. Caption. Spacesuit weighs 280 pounds on Earth. And the spacesuit has 12 layers. The 7 inside layers protect astronauts from extreme temperatures. You'll wear this suit while working outside the space shuttle. It's white to reflect the rays of the sun. It will be fitted to your exact measurements. Over 100 measurements will be taken of your hand alone. They will measure your hand 100 times, and they have to do the whole body. So this is talking about living in space. This is talking about the space toilet and what my spacesuit will look like. It's still talking about being an astronaut. Finally, it's time to blast off. Put on your orange flight suit, worn for takeoffs and landings, and get ready to board the space shuttle. You will have to sit for as long as 3 hours before liftoff. Get ready for the ride of your life. 3, 2, 1, blast off. It's best to like small spaces. Work hard and enjoy your time in space. And this is the author of the story. So these last few pages were telling us that we need to work hard, that we need to like spaces, small spaces. It talks about how we have to sit in the space shuttle for like 3 hours before liftoff. This tells us about what we have to wear, where we go to the bathroom. This tells us how we're going to eat our food. And this tells us about the vomit comment. And these are all the different things that we have to learn. So I want you to think about this. What is every single page? It might not say the words, but what is every single page talking about? What were the pop out ideas? We know the who. The who is astronauts. But what are they trying to teach you or tell you in this story? Are they trying to tell you how you can become an astronaut? Are they telling you what school you need to go to become an astronaut? They're telling you all of the steps that you need to take to become an astronaut. So if we think who, astronaut, and what, learning to become an astronaut, that gives us our main idea. So the main idea of this story is the steps you have to take to become an astronaut, or how to become an astronaut. So that is the main idea of the story. Now, if that is the main idea of the story, how to become an astronaut, what are some of the key details? What are some of the steps that you have to take to become an astronaut? One of the steps is that you have to go on the vomit comment. That's a key detail. That's a fact that tells me how to become an astronaut. So if the top of my table is how to become an astronaut, one of the legs that supports it is you have to go on the vomit comet to get your stomach used to the no gravity. What's another key detail of how to become an astronaut? What's another thing that the story told you that you have to do to be able to become an astronaut? You could say that you have to be a team player or learn to work as a team to become an astronaut. Or you could say that you have to toughen up and prepare to live in harsh conditions and have to go to a survival training. That's another key detail on how to become an astronaut. Another thing that you have to do to become an astronaut is to take some tests, right? You have to swim in your flight suit and sneakers. So these are all things that you have to do to become an astronaut. And there's plenty of other key details, key facts that support your main idea. What are some other ways that you can explain how to become an astronaut? So I want you to think this is the main idea, how to become an astronaut, and the key details are the details that tell you how to become an astronaut. Make sure that you are really trying to understand how to find the pop out ideas and how to find the main ideas, because for the next few stories, I might not go through and explain every single one, but I wanted to show you how I think and what I think of when I'm reading the story to try to figure out the main idea. All right, guys, talk to you later.